Hey guys, this is Sarahbeth Taite, and you are listening to the Backstage Pass on the home of the Grand Ole Opry, WSM 650.
And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Always a busy Sunday, too. We just keep cranking the shows out here on WSM AM 650, the home of the Grand Ole Opry. Again, you can catch all the shows out there, the Sports Guys Podcast.com, and our other affiliates out there, too. Check out the social media and check out always the great entertainment lineup on the Opry every night on the app, and, of course, WSMRadio.com. And just tell Alexa, play WSM Radio, and you're in good hands out there, too, with one of the greatest radio stations in the world, if not the greatest out there, too. I'll tell you what, she's doing some great things out there, and pleased to have her here on this Sunday morning here bright and early. Hope you're drinking coffee out there. Brandon Morrell here, and the new single, First Rodeo, is definitely creating some really good headlines out there, too, from People Magazine to Country Music Television, CMT, and all the good stuff. My good friend Sarahbeth Taite to the show. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you being here, too, and just glad to feature you here on WSM Radio. Well, tell us about this. This single is creating a lot of noise right now in a good way for First Rodeo. I know you and I've done, not our first rodeo here, no pun intended, but we've done shows like this in the past, too. But you put out a lot of great singles, and this one really, to me, just stands out to the public and the country music fans.
Thank you so much. It is a favorite of mine. I felt like it was perfect timing to put this out just in the heat of the summer. It's just really a nod to the 90s country music that we all know and love. I mean, I feel like this is my version of Strawberry Wine. I mean, not that anything's ever going to top that. It's just kind of, for me in the writing room, this was a really special one to create and bring to life in the studio. And I feel like this title and this hook is just it's a fresh take on the phrase that we hear all the time. I mean, you just said it in conversation, because we hear "This ain't my first rodeo" so much, and we've heard so many songs about that. And I love that you kind of see this title and think that it's going to be this cliche you've heard a million times. It's going to be a song you've heard a million times. And I think when you turn it on and you get through the first chorus, you're just like, oh, I don't know that as a listener, I don't know that I've heard this story and this hook before. So that was really special to me.
Well, it does tell a beautiful story out there, too. And, the best part about being on WSM, we get to play a little music here on the audio side, too. Here it is from Sarahbeth Taite. It's called First Rodeo. Catch it across all those digital streaming platforms, and you get to listen to it right here on WSM AM 650, the home of the Grand Ole Opry. Crank it up.
17, I was green as the grass we were parked on, while the sky turned the stars on. Took it too far in the back of a Bronco. I was scared, didn't want you to stop though. I believed every word. You were mine, I was yours. You wrote me in long enough just to let go, then you let go. You were my first rodeo, my first ride down the red dirt road. Like a bull right out of the gate, we took off in a cloud of smoke. Held on longer than I probably should. I fell harder than I thought I would. My first taste of love running wild, first time my heart got broke. You were my first rodeo. Sunrise in your eyes, yeah, it probably should have told me you were the kind that would hold me. Skip town and head for the next one. I learned my lesson from the best of them. You were my first rodeo, my first ride down the red dirt road. Like a bull right out of the gate, we took off in a cloud of smoke. Held on longer than I probably should. I fell harder than I thought I would. My first taste of love running wild, first time my heart got First taste of a love running wild, first time my heart got broke. You were my first rodeo. You were my first rodeo.
Hey y'all, it's Caleb Lee Hutchinson on Backstage Pass on WSM, home of the Grand Ole Opry.
The Kate and Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thekateandgordonshow.com. Again, that is thekateandgordonshow.com.
Hey y'all, this is T. Graham Brown, and you're listening to Backstage Pass right here on WSM Radio, baby.
And back here with Sarahbeth Taite on the home of the Grand Ole Opry, AM 650 WSM. Pleased to be joined here, too, by one of the greats in country music out there. She's carving that path right now and doing it in so many ways. You know, we talked about this probably on previous shows, and I love this single, First Rodeo, we just played here on the podcast here. But at the same time, so many great ladies are doing their thing out there. We mentioned Lainey Wilson and, of course, Carly Pierce, Ashley McBride, Hannah Ellis, Ashley Cook. The names go on and on. What does that say about just females in country music finally getting that due diligence?
Yeah, I just think it's a great time to be a female artist and writer in this town right now. I mean, I think we felt like for so long we weren't hearing as many of our voices on the radio and on playlists, and I just think it just goes to show that if the songs are good, if the music is good, it'll shine, you know? And I think female country music fans want to hear from us too.
You've done some great music I loved out there, and we probably did a few shows on this one, but it makes you think about life in general when you talk about a song like Pretty Good Living. Let's shine the light there a little bit on this one too, because sometimes we take this thing called life, some of us maybe, for granted. I can't speak for everybody, but at the same time, I know for me, I try not to take things so seriously, but when you step back, Sarah, and you listen to a song like Pretty Good Living, you kind of understand what this ride's all about, right?
I know. That song makes me cry, and it's so, you know, hopefully that one is just kind of a reminder to us, and hopefully it makes us feel a little better on the chaotic weeks. It's like my therapy sometimes, listening to that song. So yeah, that one's really close to my heart for sure.
And even one before that you had was called, this was 2022, I believe, Right on Time. And this was a cool thing to kind of just, you know, bring country music fans together. And this one caused quite the buzz for you.
Mm-hmm. It sure did. I think that was kind of the start of this new chapter for me as a mom and as an artist, you know, just this new chapter of my artistry and my personal life kind of came together, starting with that song. And that really is kind of what led the way to this whole new project. And this EP that began with Pretty Good Living that is about to be coming out here soon. It all kind of started becoming clear to me. My vision and my sound and my writing just all kind of came into focus with Right on Time.
I love it too. And what was so good about that last EP, you mentioned this new chapter of being a mom and putting out just some great tunes, but I loved For My Own Good, that EP out there. And really one that stood off for me on that one was Someone Else's Radio. Just talk about that EP in general and that entire project, how exciting it was to get those 5 songs out to the public.
Yeah, it was. I had so many of those songs in my catalog and in my hip pocket for years before that. And it really was the first studio recorded EP that I released. And those songs were, like I said, ones that I had known for years. I mean, I had been singing them for years, and it felt so good to have a cohesive project out in the world that was really a statement of who I am as an artist. I mean, that was the first full project that I had released after going viral on TikTok and gaining a boatload of new fans and listeners. And it was kind of a reintroduction of me as an artist. And it's really special to see those songs still making their way and finding new people every day.
You know, you mentioned that 90s country sound, and I can't remember a day that they didn't turn on the radio if it was WSM, no pun intended, or just general radio down here in Texas, where I'm from country radio, either DJing or just listening to it for fun down there too, or the streaming when streaming got hot right there in the, I guess, mid to early part of 2000s, early to mid part of 2000s. Looking back, though, I can't remember a time where those songs came on the radio and stood the test of time, from anything from Patsy Cline to, like I said, Martina McBride to Reba to Barbara Mandrell. And it seems like your music, we talked about that kind of fitting that 90s country thing. What kind of did it for you? What made you tick? Was it all those ladies just knowing that when that song came on the radio, Sarahbeth, the first few chords you heard, you knew automatically the title of that song and who was singing that song? And if you didn't, you looked it up real quick. But more than likely, people knew those tunes, and it just kind of paved the way for artists like yourself today in country music. Talk about that for me.
Yeah, I think, first of all, those artists and those songs were really, that's where I fell in love with country music to begin with. And so I think it's really, to me, those artists and some of our favorite classic country songs really are just about the storytelling and the writing. And, obviously that goes into sonically what we do in the studio. But I just think it really starts with some of those hooks, and really that started in the writing room. And so for me to just kind of hone in on, okay, how can we tell this story the simplest way, which is usually the hardest way to tell the story, but how can we tell that story the simplest way and really not make it too busy in the studio? Let's make it sound like what I loved listening to growing up. And I think, just really not being afraid to be myself and create the sound that I feel like is me. I think I spent a lot of years in Nashville trying to chase down something that I thought I should or shouldn't be. And it's really freeing just to go, hey, this is the music that I love listening to, so I'm going to put it out. And hopefully there's some country music fans who love it just as much as I do.
And it's got to be fun to find that side of who you want to be as an artist, that authenticity side.
Yes.
To know that you've got to own in on that too. And then you get pull a lot of different ways in this industry too, no doubt. And like I said, compared to what you think you should be compared to what you truly want to be. Talk about that story and just how excited you were to find that niche, because you put out a lot of great songs before First Rodeo had come out and released there in July. So talk about that and finding that close proximity, if you will, to be the artist you want to be.
Yeah. It was really freeing for me to, I think, just stop worrying about perception. A lot of that happened when I became a mom. I found out I was pregnant in 2022. And like you said, I've released so many songs before then. I had been chasing down this artist dream for a long time. And that was kind of the pivotal moment for me of, I was so worried about what industry people would think of me, raising a family and trying to start my career. That went into the music. I was worried about how the music would be perceived. And honestly, all of these things just kind of came to a head for me in that year. And it resulted in me saying, these are the things that make me happy. These are the things I want to sing about. This is real life for me. And honestly, as a listener, I want to hear these songs. I want to hear about my real life. I want to hear about womanhood in songs and on playlists and on the radio. And, sometimes in my songs, that means me singing about being a mom. It means singing about being a wife. And those things just really started to run deep in my writing. And really, that's when it all clicked for me. I think that's when it started clicking for even more fans. And I just realized, it's just so much better when you're not trying to fight who you are and what you want to sing about. It starts making the path a lot easier because you're just being yourself, which sounds easier to do than it is.
Well, you wrote one, and I know we've talked about this one on past shows that we've done, but May of 2022, this beautiful one comes out, and I won't have people just encourage people to hit it. It's not the second song we're going to play today, but if I was going to play a third song, it would be, no doubt, one of my favorites from her called Mother's Daughter
Mhm.
Let's shed some light on this because, man, what a beautiful story you tell in the song.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's funny that song came long before having a daughter, and sometimes you write something and you don't even know how it's going to affect you and become even more and more true as the years go on. But I wrote that about my mom and the special relationship that we have. And once again, I mean, I think the honesty in that song just has really kind of stood the test of time these last couple of years. I see people every year using it for Mother's Day and just to honor that relationship with their mom. And now I cry to it thinking about my daughter. So it really, that one just has a life that just keeps on going, and it'll be fun to see that one continuing years from now.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to continue is our second song here on WSM AM 650, the home of the Grand Ole Opry 2. Got to play some more music right now from the great Sarahbeth Taite here on the show here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. And you know what? Life takes us on unexpected paths. And with this one here, it's called Diamond and a Baby. Here it is. Crank it up.
6 a.m. crying from the other room. Who's up next? Honey, is it me or you? If you get the coffee, I'll get the girl. Meet you downstairs at the top of the world. Ooh, I wouldn't change a thing. Ooh, it feels like yesterday. I fell in love with a boy and I never looked back. A little slow kiss and made my heart beat fast. We were taking our time and just like that we're dancing in the kitchen, fixing biscuits and gravy. Look at me rocking a diamond and a baby. Another day of everybody needing something, but hey, gotta make some time for loving. 5-minute makeup, 10 minutes late. Isn't it funny how the time gets away? I fell in love with a boy and I never looked back. A little slow kiss and made my heart beat fast. We were taking our time and just like that we're dancing in the kitchen, fixing biscuits and gravy. Look at me rocking a diamond and a baby. I love the one on my hip, the one on this ring. Ooh, and the one who gave them to me. I fell in love with a boy and I never looked back. A little slow kiss and made my heart beat fast. We were taking our time and just like that we'll be sitting on a front porch somewhere when we're 80, looking at each other saying, don't it seem crazy? It all started with a diamond and a baby. Look at me rocking a diamond and a baby.
Hey, y'all, it's Nashville recording artist Russell Dickerson, and you're listening to the Backstage Pass with Brandon on the home of the Opry, 650 AM WSM.
The Kate Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thekatengordonshow.com. Again, that is thekatengordonshow.com.
Hey, this is Parker McCollum, and you're listening to the Backstage Pass.
And be sure and check Caden out. He's always got a lot of great programs, a lot of the same guests we have here on the Backstage Pass. So check him out. Great podcast up in Boston, Massachusetts. We just tag teamed all that this year pretty much at CMA Fest. The entire CMA week we did at the Music City Center. So if you missed any of that coverage, the sportsguyspodcast.com, the Backstage Pass, all right there back here on AM 650 WSM, the home of the Grand Ole Opry. every Sunday morning from 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. Be sure and set your alarm clock and get up and drink some coffee with us. All right, so we got to talk about this as we're back here with Sarahbeth Taite on the show. Life takes us on those unexpected journeys. I love this one, Diamond and a Baby. Let's get the true story behind it.
This song is truly just my day-to-day life right now. This to me was the epitome of writing my truth. And it's really just my anthem these days. I think it's so fun, and it really just celebrates. I used to think that being a mom or even being a wife would kind of hold me back, especially in the world of this music industry. And this to me was just that kind of exclamation of saying, hey, these things are actually the best part of my life and the most important things and the most important roles that I'll ever have. So it's just really me kind of celebrating the two things that I love so much.
And it's a great song, too. And it's got just a great feel to it. So definitely, I'm sure more moms can relate to that, too, at the same time. That Diamond and a Baby across all those digital streaming platforms, too. Hey, I want to talk to you about this because I know we recently just lost one of the greats in country music. And I was at the event for Sunday Morning Country backstage at the Opry there during CMA week. And Joe Bonsall, years with the Oak Ridge Boys and a classic country we all grew up on. Just talk about, I guess, was that one of the groups? And, of course, I know everybody listened to the Oak Ridge Boys, but how much he will be missed in country music and just the contribution that Joe made to that group for well over, I'm sure, almost 5 decades now, 50 years they've been touring, and they're still at it, too. But just his memory and just how much Joe will be missed in country music.
Oh, my gosh. I just think, he and their group obviously just put such a huge stamp on country music. And it's amazing to look back and realize how pivotal someone like he was in all of the music we listen to today. I mean, think about all of the artists that we listen to now grew up listening to Oak Ridge Boys, and it shaped so many of the artists that we have now and will forever have. And so I think it's incredible to just see the lasting impression on our genre. It's always really, really sad and difficult to see such legends not be with us anymore.
It's tough, no doubt. And like I said, his memory lives on, the music lives on, those timeless classics too. And definitely, as William Lee Golden said, there'll never be another. Joe Bonsall told us that on the show a few weeks back there at the Sunday Morning Country event at the Grand Ole Opry. All right, time to have a little fun here. When not doing music, what are some of those hobbies? I know being a mom has got to be at the top of that list. I really can't say necessity, not really a hobby. But when you do get some, I guess, a date night, or you get to go out and have maybe some brunch or something with some of the girlfriends, what do you like to do in the fun time when you're not being a mom?
Oh, my gosh. Listen, it's so funny. I feel like the hobbies question, I'm like, I don't even know what my hobbies are anymore outside of just, music and spending time with my family. But no, I definitely, honestly, at this point, just reading a book. My husband and I went on a quick beach weekend for a few nights by ourselves without the toddler. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot what it was like to just be able to read a book on the beach and not be chasing a tiny human around. So anytime that I get some quiet time is a new hobby.
Is a good hobby, no doubt about it too. All right, for I guess food on a date night or just in Nashville in general too. I had my hot chicken debate as of a couple of weeks ago. I finally got the second half of it. It was Prince's hot chicken, and I got the mild. And then back at CRS of this year, I went and got the Hattie B's hot chicken, but I went for medium on that. I guess are you a hot chicken fan? I realize it doesn't agree with everybo's stomach, but if not, where are some of your favorite restaurants to dine in?
I don't think it agrees with anybody's stomach, but I salute everyone who tries. I am not a hot chicken person. I'm just going to be honest. I would just prefer fried chicken. Like I just don't even have, the desire has never been there for me. But I do, especially because we just have such amazing food in Nashville. I have a lot of Nashville restaurant favorites, but I'm not the hot chicken connoisseur, so I'll have to listen to y'all for that.
Mine was Hattie B's. I enjoyed that one too at the same time. All right, had you never become a country music singer or got into this full time, what other career path, I guess even before becoming a mom too, What other career path would you have taken?
Hard to say because I started this journey so early on in my life. But I really have always, and even alongside of my artist career here, I've always had a heart for kids before becoming a mom. I've spent a lot of time at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, Seacrest Studios, doing a lot of work with musicians on call. I think I would have ended up maybe not in the hospital setting, but probably in teaching or something along those lines. I think I would have been in a room full of kids somewhere if I wasn't doing this.
It takes a true heart to do that job too. Like I said, I love being a teacher. It's one of the things I take the most pride in, especially at the high school level, because you're teaching them so much and kind of grooming them for the real world and telling them, hey, get ready for life's ride, because you never know where it's going to take you. And I tell you what, it could be their first rodeo for many out there too that do this. A fantastic single, and so good to have you here again. First rodeo, the current single from the great Sarahbeth Taite across all those digital streaming platforms, and check her out at sarahbethtaite.com, TAITE.com for more information out there too, from the tour dates to the merchandise to all the good stuff out there. Hey, pleased to have you this week on a Sunday for WSM and feature you as an artist and your music. Always appreciate you coming back here on the platform. Hope you enjoyed it. And you know what? We're going to do this again.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. The one, the only Sarahbeth Taite, first rodeo across all those digital streaming platforms out there too. And of course, check her out at sarahbethtaite.com. We're back next Sunday for more here on WSM AM 650, the home of the Grand Ole Opry. Stay tuned for a lot more. Take care and God bless.
Hi, this is Richard Sturban with the Oak Ridge Boys. Giddy up, boom, bow, bow. You're listening to the Sports Guys on Spotify and SoundCloud.